Every day I wake up more excited than the last to get in here, make a cup of coffee, and share some of my thoughts with you guys. As you can see on the table, I have the Steam Deck, because we're continuing on with our what seems to be Steam Deck week as I give my impressions and some of my experiences with it. I'm gonna be honest, I haven't used it a bunch since the last video. I have used it to do more understanding and research as to the capabilities of the machine. Kind of loud, I know. But I haven't done too much as far as playing. I'm still only about an hour-ish into a play of Resident Evil. I've done a bunch of tests and different graphics settings, and I have actually deferred. I spent about an hour trying to figure out graphics, and I've deferred the graphics to just what is on the machine as a default setting. And I'll give you my reasonings for that, because I think that is actually quite important. I'm trying to make things simpler, right? And so why would I want to dive deep into the settings to get the maximum, most optimized frame rate? Well, I mean, some might want to do that. And that makes sense, right? Like, you would want to get the best performance out there. And for someone who's a PC gamer, which I want to come on here and say that I made a statement in my last video about how I believe that this is something that more console gamers are playing than PC gamers. And I got a flood of people in the comments saying that that kind of assumption is pretty wild, given as this is a Steam machine, which is PC only. And as I thought more and more about it, I thought, let me clarify and let me change something. Let me clarify by saying that the reason why I thought that this was something that is more geared towards people who play on consoles, such as myself, was one, it's my own thought based on my personal experience and also excitement for this very thing. But two, the reason why I thought that was, well, I thought that people who have PC machines would rather spend between $400 and $600 on upgrading that very PC machine. I misplaced my dump jug, so we're going to be dumping some of that water in the fateful Bash Bros cup. It'll be starting up next year. And so I made the statement that this is for primarily console gamers, and I take that back. This isn't for primarily console gamers, though I think that console gamers will benefit greatly from this machine. I'm willing to say that I was wrong. Maybe PC gamers are buying this thing. Anyway, back to the reason why I'm not adjusting my settings to figure out how to go from a pretty solid 35 all the way up to 45 to 50. Primary reason, because my very intention on buying the Steam Deck was to be able to plug and play, to be able to download a game, defer all of my decision making to the game's in-game file, not system, my in-game selection system, set the graphics to recommended or balanced, and then continue on with my actual experience. Because this process was to introduce me to the very gaming that exists outside of console, which is PC gaming. Now, Resident Evil 4 Remake, completely available to me on PlayStation 5, which I think it runs at like 60 frames per second locked or whatever, all the way up to 4K resolution. I mean, that's what was advertised online. I don't know if it's actually hitting those numbers, but, you know, we'll see. I guess I should look deeper into it. It's not really important to me. And then obviously I can get that on the Xbox as well. I have the Series S, so if I was going to choose a system to get it, as far as purchasing it's concerned, it's going to go on whichever one's cheaper. But I decided to get that on the Steam Deck because I, for one, am not a fan, so to speak, of the Resident Evil series. Primarily because I've never played the Resident Evil series. It's completely new to me. It is well outside of my realm of interest when it comes to what I'm more I would say historically drawn to. I mean, if we're dude, look at this. You got Mario and all the Pokemon, Zelda. Like, my actual leanings when it comes to gaming is fantasy. Fantasy over sci-fi, that's for sure. I don't know how I'm going to be able to handle 2024, seeing as every single game trailer at the Video Game Awards. It was a sci-fi based game. But yeah, I'm more of a fantasy type of video game player, as well as with the exception of something like Final Fantasy and stuff like that, like more happy-go-lucky, like Kingdom Hearts and Mario and Zelda and all that kind of stuff, right? And so Resident Evil would have never been a selection for me. Certainly not one that would have been like, man, let's go out and play some RE4, right? But it's been critically acclaimed. It's also been highly recommended by many friends of mine. And the main reason why I play these other games more than something like RE is because that's what I know. And so this is a newer experience. And I thought, you know, what better way to experience something like Resident Evil 4 than on the very new piece of hardware that I've gotten, the Steam Deck. Plus, I was able to get RE4 with all of the additional whatever stuff, big downloadable content for, I'm actually going to use my small cup to get rid of that, for $40 on Steam. And so that was pretty exciting to get, because I, for one, am running out of finances when it comes to this channel and purchasing things, because I am making these, and so they don't really bring in the revenue that my old videos used to make. But if we're gonna boot this thing on, you guys can go from watch the top down. You can see that this is set, let me get the counter up, 35 frames per second, right? And so with 35 frames per second, we're getting stuff like the hair is there. It's not strands. I'm going to, I guess, initiate this cutscene, which is watching someone get lit on fire. Pretty intense, if I'm going to do say so myself. Let's go ahead, I guess, and we'll look in, and then I will skip this cutscene so that we don't have to experience that so much. Great. Someone got lit on fire. And now let's go ahead and run a little bit. I'm actually going to pour off some of my coffee. And I pour high because that allows me to get a more balanced, not balanced, what I'm talking about. It reduces the temperature. It hits air more. So I'm at 45 frames per second, 44 frames per second. If I look up to the sky and spin around, I still maintain 40. Here's the character model. And I'm set to balanced graphics. We still have good visuals. You can hear some movement and rustling and bustling. This is going to get gruesome for those of you who are not into gore. I am going to slice and dice. Let me pause real quick. Back because I had gardeners, so we're going to do this. And I'm supposed to run. I didn't do this right. Run, go. Oh boy. Every single villager is here to beat me up, and they've hit me with an axe. And now I'm dead. Just goes to show you my ability, my understanding of this game. We'll go ahead and do this again. And so, again, I am bad at Resident Evil. I am very impressed. And our brightness is at maximum brightness. I'm very, very impressed with the visuals here. I understand this is the very beginning of the game. I haven't got it into some of the other spots, but I'm running, I'm looking, I'm moving around, and I'm at 35 to 45 frames per second. This Steam Deck is not plugged in. This is, I got some lighting going on, and let me look at the settings just so you guys can see what settings I'm at. I have cinematic set to full HD. I have, quality stuff. Resolution is 1280 by 800. It looks like my preset I am set to right now is, it won't let me see it. So I can actually do this. We'll back out and we will go back to the menus, and the loading screen gets up to 90 frames per second. And if I go to the menus here, I can hit this, and we're going to go to options and see what the actual preset I chose was. Graphics, presets. This is balanced. So prioritize performance would even drop down more. I'm not even going in performance mode, but let's do performance mode. Let's see what performance mode not only looks like, but also the frame rates we're able to achieve in the same area. We were getting 35 to 45 before. Let's see if we can get 40 to 50. I would actually more likely hit balance because I've done performance mode before. I don't know what the markers are going to be, but the visuals end up being extremely muddy. And so I might do something like this. Okay, let's see here. So yeah, there is some serious degradation here. We're now hitting 40 frames per second. We're at 35 spot, and if I turned here, it was 45, and now we're hitting 53 to 52 frames per second. Almost, so 43 again, which was this part was a 35er. So we're getting I'd say an 8 to 10 frame, and let's see what this cutscene does. I'm gonna go and stab her in the head. A phrase that you never think you're gonna say. You never think you're gonna say something along the lines of stab her in the head, and now we're at 53 frames per second, okay? So we'll pause there. And what I love is I just hit the power button and it went to sleep. And all of this was deferred to the system settings. I went online and I watched a video where you can adjust, and this is something that's pretty awesome about this. You can go in and adjust every micro detail to eke out another 3 to 7 frames if you want to. And if you're someone who likes that kind of thing and is willing to put in the effort to, crank out those frames and get as close to 60 as possible, it's very possible to get a 60 frames per second experience on a game like Resident Evil. Maybe it's not full 60, but close to 60 frames per second with low to medium settings, right? I know that game is, again, not the best example here, but still, what I'm getting at is that this right here is probably one of the best stopgaps between a PC rig where you're sitting at a desk and a gaming console where it's completely locked and your UI is the console itself's UI that's baked on. Sure, you can hack all these things, but we're going with the way that I prefer to game, which is I want to turn on a console, piece of hardware, and I want to be able to select the game and go on and play the game. Anything other than that ends up getting in the way to me. Like, I don't understand. I am not someone who wants to fiddle with settings for hours on end. I don't find any enjoyment in that. And going from 35 to 45 frames per second has 10 range to 45 to 55 frames per second. For me, that 10 frame jump isn't so significant that I'm going to favor the side of performance and sacrifice just about all the graphics that make it immersive. Because at the end of the day, this is now an OLED display. OLED display does show more, the colors are more vibrant, and with HDR, you're able to take advantage of just a better visual experience as a whole. And part of the, I would say, splendor of something like the Steam Deck or the Ally or the Legion Go is that you're playing PC games in a handheld form factor. Let me just let you think about that for a second. Especially something like the Legion Go, which I made fun of a little bit. I didn't make fun of, but I took shots out saying the removable Joy-Cons introduced a different, an element of fragility, I guess, would be a good way of summing up what I said last video in the last cup, that I don't know if I'm willing to adopt for the performance. I watched about, I'd say collectively, probably 2, maybe 3 hours worth of videos on the Ally and the Legion Go, comparisons between the Ally and the Steam Deck and the Legion Go and the Steam Deck, because I don't have, to be honest with you, I don't have the disposable income to go out and spend $600 on this setup, another $600 on the Ally because it's on sale, and then an additional $700 or $600 to $700 on the Legion. At that point, I'm spending upwards of $2,000, and at that, I could easily, just to look at these gaming things that I don't know if I certainly don't have the library for it, but I don't know if the comparison of all those is going to yield $2,000 worth of ad revenue. So that's just that. I'm trying to balance out that. I don't make money doing this by any stretch. But I mean, if Lenovo and Asus and whomever, right? If they were to send me the gear, I would just cover the heck out of it. I would love to cover the heck out of it. But I am forced to choose one and then go and look at the others and learn about them, which I think is a very realistic place to be, because chances are people out there, right? This is something I can say more definitively. People out there aren't the average gamer isn't going to go and purchase all 3 of them or even 2 of them. Probably are trying to cross shop and figure out which one to get. And I did a poll, and Steam Deck overwhelmingly took the lead, which was no surprise to me because of the simplicity of it. This type of device, for me, it screams simplicity. Like, you want it to be a simple thing. When you take a device like a Steam Deck, which is already large, which isn't the largest one, right? Lenovo is the largest one. When you take a device like this out and about, the intention is that it is an experience that is relatively simple. Having to flip through menus, browsers, figure out optimization, deal with all that kind of stuff isn't really something that let me speak for myself. Isn't really something that I want to do if I have a device like this, especially because the only other device like this that I own is a Nintendo Switch. With the exception of Nintendo Switch online services, as well as maybe some digital purchases, that device, you turn it on, you choose your game, and you're off to the races. It's as simple as that. It's extremely streamlined, and that's because it's closed. There's no openness to the UI. You have what you have, and it's just made to do one job. This, I believe, you can boot into desktop mode, which I've done on my LCD version back when I owned it the first time. You can boot into LCD mode and do more stuff and, install emulators and such like that, which I'm going to do. I'm going to install emulators on here and try different things with the intention of learning more about this device. But again, the purpose of something like this for me and my workflow and my gaming flow, I guess is the best way, the game flow of it all, is, don't know if that's a word, making it up. If it is, discovered it on my own, so it's practically mine. Game flow should be something that, works for you. If you're someone who enjoys tinkering, then you're going to be, probably fine with other things. But the Ally, from what I've learned, has a couple setbacks. One of the big things between the Ally, the Legion, and the Steam Deck is the Steam Deck is the least powerful of the 3. Has the least least services between the 3. You can hear the gardeners outside. My apologies. Has the least services between the 3, and has the least performance out of the 3. Okay. Simple. The Legion is 144 refresh rate, 104 hertz refresh rate. I was watching Wood beat 'em ups talk about it, and he said he was getting like almost over 100 frames per second playing stuff like Valorant. And that's another thing, is like, this plays Steam games. That's it. Can you do other things in desktop mode? Technically. Can you install Windows on this? Technically you can. But that's not the original purpose of this. The original purpose of this is to take your Steam library and make it available to you here on the Steam Deck, which is great. I don't have a Steam library. Both the Ally and the Lenovo allow you to take your Xbox library from Game Pass, allow you to take Epic Store, all this different stuff, right? Would I like to play Fortnite at 100 plus frames per second on a handheld device? Yeah, that'd be sick, right? But Steam Deck doesn't allow me to do that. But why did I still choose this if realistically, let's just say all of them are around $650. I spent about $650 with this and the dock. This is the cheapest, $550. Or if you go 1 terabyte across the board, then you're dealing with like $600. They're all relatively priced similarly. Why did I still go Steam Deck, even though I don't have a Steam library? I asked myself the same question. And realistically, it's because of ease of use. So the Ally, from what I'm noticing, is when you're really playing some of those games that you can't play on the Steam Deck because it has better performance or whatever, you're going to chew through the battery. just destroy your battery. Not like actually destroy it, but like you're just going to blow through your battery reserves. And you're looking, from what I saw, between high performance games that you can play, which is impressive and exciting at relatively good frame rates, right? You're looking at like 90 minutes of play, which for some people is very reasonable. They're like, I can't play for more than 90 minutes. That's great. But also the fans kick on, and there's just a lot there. I hear that there's bugginess in the UI, but that can be, fixed over time. I don't know how good Asus and Lenovo are at updating things. The amount of updates that this gets on a regular basis is unbelievable. And the Steam Deck I'm using now, granted it is a new model with some new hardware inside, versus the Steam Deck I was using back when it launched, they practically are two completely different machines. Yes, they technically are two completely different machines. But the UI, the functionality, it's something that I've never experienced before, honestly. And I owned an LCD. They have made huge leaps in progress with this thing. It's impressive. And so that was a huge reason why I leaned into this. Also familiarity, if I'm being honest with you. I don't know about the Lenovo. I certainly don't know much about the Ally either. All I know is that they are more powerful. They are more capable. But with that comes some pretty sizable compromises. Battery life being one of them. UI being another. Because the Lenovo, from what I've seen in videos, is just like a Windows tablet, essentially. You can certainly use it as a PC, and hey, if I was to look between all three and make a more educated decision, the Lenovo really is the closest I'd get to a different one. And maybe, who knows, maybe I can pull together some change to get one and to actually investigate, because it is such a compelling machine. What I'm seeing is impressive. The fact that you can play games like Valorant or Warzone, right? Any of these games on a handheld like is really impressive to me. That's super impressive. Two games of which I've spent very little, if no time at all, right? No Valorant for me because I don't have a PC, and I don't play Call of Duty Warzone. I play some Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, but I have it on PlayStation, so I wouldn't want to purchase it again for PC. So there's a little bit of pull there, but you can play all those games, and there's just more options. I don't know which one is the best. I don't, because I only have personal experience with the Steam Deck, and the usability is just insane. I do appreciate the simplicity in design. For goodness sakes, aside from the Nintendo Switch, Valve really was the first ones to successfully make one that is consumer-wide, right? Yes, they're not the first to make one, but as far as a device that is appealing to most consumers, Steam Deck really does a good job, as well as the Ally, as well as the Lenovo Go. We've had others. We have had the Aya Neo. We've had all these different ones before. Thousands of dollars. Insane prices. Something I couldn't even consider. I was like, why would I get something like this? This is ridiculously expensive. At that point, you'd slap another $500 on there, and you have a super functional, very capable PC. And for me, that was far more valuable. But the Steam Deck. Again, part of the reason why I got it was because of familiarity. Another part that I got it was because it is the most affordable. And lastly, because as someone who is striving to build out a PC library eventually, it seems that Steam as a whole is pretty much the gold standard. People purchase their games there. Sure, Blizzard has a launcher to purchase a couple games there, as well as Epic. Epic, I don't know how they got Kingdom Hearts. Crazy. That's pretty much the only PC game that I would be leaning into, right? Which I wouldn't purchase it there because I have it on PlayStation. I'm fine. But when it comes to purchasing games, the Steam library seems the best way. Can I run better, a better graphical experience on something like a Lenovo or an Ally? It seems, based on my research and watching videos, yes, I certainly can. And if that's what's important to you, hitting performance markers, that might be the better option. But for me, it's plug and play. It's simplicity. It's if I hit that orange button, I'm back in Resident Evil 4 right now in 6 hours or tomorrow evening. It's as simple as that. That is so valuable. So valuable as a father, as a husband, as an extremely busy person. It is so valuable to be able to make the decision, I'm going to play video games right now because I have a hot minute, and for it to work immediately. I do not have the luxury to turn on something like a Lenovo or an Ally, or the Legion Go. Sorry, I keep saying Lenovo. I know that it's Lenovo Legion Go, and the Ally it would be, Asus or Lenovo. I get it. I don't have the luxury of sitting down, turning one of those devices on, right? And even the Steam Deck at times can get a little bit dicey. And then realizing that there is a whole fanfare, a plethora of things that I have to do just to get into my game. At that point, I'd be like, well, forget this. I'm going to go play Mario Wonder, right? I just don't have that. I don't have planned gaming sessions for the most part, with the exception of playing Fortnite at night with my buddies. So I don't have that luxury. And from what I've seen from Linus Tech Tips, Wolfden, Beat 'em Ups, all these people, they've talked and they've praised the device. Even Austin Evans, some of the big boys, they've praised devices, that Asus ROG Ally and the Lenovo Legion Go, as well as the Steam Deck. But all of them have said the same thing. It takes a little bit of extra work. And, this papa don't have that extra time, baby. I need to be able to plug and play. So that's why I stuck with this. And I'm not mad at the decision. I do really want to play with the Lenovo Go. So we got to figure out how to make that happen. Because as of now, it ain't happening. But who knows? Maybe it will eventually. Heck, I want to play with them all. I want to try them all. I have to figure out how to do that. Well, that's all for me today. If you enjoy it, sick. I'm not certain if you'll see me tomorrow. Tomorrow being Saturday. I think I might just take the weekends off. I don't know. I love making these videos. We'll see. No promises. But as always, happy gaming.